Where are we at?
Okay, we'll call this meeting back to order. 9:54. Our next order of business for today is a public hearing, which we have none of for today. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to be heard on an issue not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will move to the next one, 9A. Consider resolution 2018-25, suspension of neighborhood loan program. Director Bart.
And I don't have much additional to provide beyond what was in the memo and the resolution itself, other than I inherited administration of the program when I was hired last December, and as well as there's a new person who has administered at the bank, North Shore Bank. Both of us, and including the finance director, have identified things throughout the year that just administratively are difficult for us to be efficient with. And beyond the administration on the staff level, I've also heard discussion, whether it be at the board level or CDA or plan commission or conservation committee or senior resource center, that people have identified this as a valuable tool that the village has to incentivize things that perhaps its housing market is missing. And the question is whether or not the current program is designed effectively to get what we are missing, and whether or not it's counterintuitive in other aspects. So I don't have a lot of statistics or data to share with you on the program. I do have the general total. So there's been 44 loans since 2009. We have a current balance of $180,000 available for additional loans. That's roughly 9 loans that I could administer under the current program. Before that money is expended, I would like to put a pause on it so I can at least internally identify some things to make it easier to administer, and then to confirm, ideally with the CDA and other committees, whether or not they have other uses for that type of funding. So that's kind of where I have it. I'd love to hear more direction from the board if there is greater support for the current program, or if there's additional support for putting a pause and modifying other potential aspects.
And just to clarify, because I did talk to Bart, the intent tonight is not to discuss necessarily, we can say, we'll talk about the program if that's the desire of the board, but the intent is to have those discussions, because there's been benefit, people are all gonna have opinions, so, but tonight, he doesn't have any information to give you, we haven't studied any of the issues, so it's simply whether or not we agree to suspend it until we have time for those discussions. Trustee McKay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I have no problem with suspending the program based on everything you've presented. I've heard it myself at multiple meetings, so I think this is a logical juncture to do that, so I would support that, and I would go ahead. I don't want to cut off discussion, but I'm comfortable putting a motion on the floor if that's okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-25 to suspend the neighborhood loan program.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Trustee Warren, did you have anything?
No, I'm just gonna agree, but.
Okay.
So
All right.
Further action, until further
Right,
action,
and so-
confirm its purpose, the whole.
Yes, I would, as presented.
Yeah, okay.
As stated.
What's the program number after that?
Okay, so we have a motion. You still seconding it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for minutes, what was the second portion?
It was as stated in the memo. I was
Yes,
using,
stated in the report.
yeah, as stated in the memo.
Can you just type it in though in the minutes?
Yeah.
Because I don't ever have to want to refer
Thank
to a
you.
report.
That's exactly why
Do
I,
you
I
want to read the
move
whole?
to approve the 2018-25 suspension of neighborhood improvement loan program until further action by the village board to confirm its purpose, administration, and desired outcomes.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Meyer. I was working
Thank
from
you.
my agenda, not from the memo.
All right. Any further discussion? Trustee Maher?
Is this a roll call?
It's a roll call.
Okay, roll call vote.
Trustee Aventa,
Aye.
Trustee Maher,
Aye.
Trustee Bacher.
Yes.
Trustee Warren,
I,
Trustee Carpenter,
Aye.
Trustee McKay,
Yes.
President Rosen.
Yes. Great, 7-0, motion carries. Next item, thank you, Bart. The next item of new business is to consider a policy for delinquent personal property collection.
So Mark did not join us here this evening, but included in the packet was a review item. If you'll recall, this item had come up during the scope in terms of what his level of participation would be with these items. So I can answer any questions if you have them regarding policy that's before you.
I apologize, can you just summarize what I'll flip to it really quick and try to read it,
Sure.
but I just thought it was too.
In some, we've had a process of where, for the last several years, we've had a handful of businesses who are delinquent on their personal property, and they're traditionally delinquent, but they've been in business here for a long period of time. And so it's about 23,000, the last couple of years, once you total them, and just kind of take a look at them. And so what we're suggesting to you is that you, for those that have these outstanding balances, if they are still open and don't file or pay their personal property, that we actually take steps to hold people accountable for paying their personal property when it's over a certain threshold. So those we would file in small claims court and request that they pay, because right now there's no penalty to those.
Trustee Warren.
I'm wondering if there's any magic behind the $100 figure. I'm always sensitive to throwing good money after bad, and the filing fee itself is, I think it's 94, 92, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if Mark had magic behind the 100.
I would think it would be just a little bit higher.
Mhm.
I don't want to spend $100 to try to collect $100, so I'm trying to.
And that doesn't include attorney fees if we did have to go, correct?
Well, what Mark had asked about, he said, these are pretty straightforward. He said, can I appear on behalf of the village in small claims? And there's case law that talks about corporations being allowed to represent themselves in small claims where the jurisdictional level is below 10,000, and all these are. And so I said, well, I would interpret that, leading the case law, I would interpret that to include municipal corporations. And there's a process where we could designate somebody that could do that on behalf. And what we could do is our office could help you. We have some forms that we can electronically file. We can take a big group, if we have 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever it is, file them, help the village file them all on the same day, so that you get the same return date, and then Mark goes down to small claims court.
So
and
Mark,
can appear.
okay,
And then if they don't, what you do find once in a while is you get somebody who's pro se and they file some weird motion or something out of the way, and then, we could assist the village in prosecuting that claim. But most of these are pretty straightforward. When you get to collections, then when you get to the point where you're going to execute the judgment, under the statutes, there are a lot of things that are exempt from attachment, and that's a whole other process. But usually what happens is the threat of a judgment and the reality of a judgment is so detrimental to one's, especially a business's financial situation, that it goes under credit. And if you go to borrow any kind of money or have any dealings with it, the first thing you're going to see, you got the judgment against you. So just physically having that judgment has generally, in our experience, been the impetus to get paid. If they haven't found religion on that topic yet, they get it pretty quick once there's a judgment taken against them. So,
but the intent is for those that don't quickly find,
yeah, that's right.
then to
Because
actually.
there's no, right.
You'd have to have a policy that says, our policy is if you don't pay, we're gonna go to court.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So,
Just to throw a little color commentary, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it's been quite a few years since I've been a litigator, but in my experience with small claims, it's not unusual at all for non-lawyers to go in and argue a case. In small claims court, it's pretty common, so we're not doing something that's kind of out of bounds or unusual here.
no, absolutely not. There's case law that talks about corporations representing themselves, they change the law, and that
I have a question.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed enhancement to the village's collections process for delinquent personal property taxes, and to direct staff to return in 1 year with the amount expended and the amount recouped.
I was just gonna make the motion.
Second.
Further discussion, I do have a question. I think Mark makes more than $100 an hour. If you added it up, so with that motion that I will vote for, if you could record that time, because to get to Trustee Warren's point, maybe this threshold is too low. Like if someone owes us 1,000, it might make sense to send our finance director, out for those, but 100, if you're processing $100 for the case fee, and that's all you're gonna potentially get back,
So
and then you have a finance director. So I don't know if
I'd be happy to include that.
but we're authorizing that right now, correct, with this motion, that if it's over 100 or over, he is to move, I mean, that's our policy, that he would be doing this for the following year. And I don't know that I agree with that.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, we voted to do this in budget, and I think we need to just evaluate it after a year and see.
Can I ask a question? How much time do you think if someone, to go to court, is it like 2 hours, 3 hours? Like, what would be because I can amend it to make a different threshold.
Well, that's difficult to say, because in Milwaukee County, when you go to like a cattle call at 8:30 in the morning, there's like 100 cases. Now, if you practice there, there's attorneys that practice there all day, all week, and they know they know the clerks and the clerks' offices. But the other thing is if I sent an associate down there and we, set up like a real low rate on it, if the recovery amount is between 1,000 and the jurisdiction limit of 10,000, we can tax costs and we can recover the filing fee plus $300 in attorney's fees. But depending on the data, how many we file at the same time, and if we get all the same return dates, I can't tell you whether the attorney's going to sit there for 2 hours or 20 minutes. I just don't know.
Okay.
And so that's why Mark wanted to do it himself.
Trustee Moore?
And if memory serves, we might be able to be a little more efficient and do these in a batch. I thought you could file a batch to be heard on the
That's
same
why,
day.
that's why I talked to Mark about it. The fact that what we do is we file, try to file 10 of them at a time.
Yeah, just go and do.
Yeah, and that's kind of, and then when you file them, he asks the clerk for the same return date for all of them.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about small claims is instead of sending a process server out for $2, they'll send it out for you with certified mail and actions and service.
So that's great. I don't think the policy says that we'll do them in batches, but I'm assuming that anything over 100 or over, we're going to process at some point during the year. That's what the policy is.
It's usually at the same time, so it would be
It's like- Like, is it once every 4 months? I'm concerned with, I mean, I could just vote no, but my concern is that I don't know how much time this is going to take from our finance director, so.
I think this is the kind of thing that we need to,
We're always
it's
concerned
a
about staff
detail
time.
that we should leave to staff and let them do it the way they think best and come back to us with an evaluation in a year. I mean, and look at the numbers then. I mean, I think we should just, we approve the policy of budget and we should just move that. So anyway, I'll call the question.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries 6-1. So do we have a motion? Yes, correct? And a second? You want to reread it and then we'll vote. No worries.
Trustee Menta moves, second by trustee Macher, to approve the proposed enhancements to the village's collections processes for delinquent personal property taxes and direct staff to return in 1 year with the amount expended and the amount.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries 6-1. All right, the next item on our agenda is 9C, consider petition to restrict parking on Kensington Avenue from North Avenue to North Newhall Street. I have a really quick question. Was the petitioners notified that this agenda item was on the agenda? Rebecca?
I know that I did not know that.
Okay, then I would like to defer this item until the next meeting. So I will make a motion. Do we need to make a motion? Yes, trustee McKay.
Since one of the options is to wait until the conclusion of the transportation and parking analysis, I guess at worst, we'll make that motion after we've heard from us.
I just wanted to make sure they knew that it was on.
Yeah,
the
Exactly.
if there's a question on that, I'd prefer to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just ask for unanimous consent to.
Okay, and we'll just put it onto the next agenda and notify the residents, or at least the petitioner who submitted the petition that for items on the
Is
agenda.
everybody good with that?
I mean, I'd like to have some more information on other streets that are the same, like what the parking is on other streets in the same way.
Yes,
Is
so,
Is Kensington really the only, it is,
I asked.
you really can't get two cars past when there's two cars parked. What do we do on other streets?
like Wood or Jarvis that, so half of, right,
So if we looked at, because I want to narrow that scope a little bit, if we looked at streets between Capitol and Kensington that have similar, similar width,
yep.
I just want to make sure that we're evaluating stuff that's in context with a similar type area. Does that make sense?
So when I asked for this agenda, so the petitioners had sent it directly to me, it's my street, and I told them that we would not take it up. Rebecca had asked not till after budget in July, so they were okay with that. I think the concern was, and when Rebecca put it on the agenda, I had said the same thing, like, the data that we'll need is just, it seems to be very tight, and we've had an accident with a child, and we had to hire an extra crossing guard. And so the question is, I did reach out to some of the businesses to see if they would lose the business parking.